going on, guys? It's Sean with Remax Central and the Shopper Group. I'm here with Jaitun, Sheth, and the Mortgage Architects. Tell us a bit about your company.
So I work for Mortgage Architects. I've been there for about 3 years. Mortgage Architects is one of the top 3 brokerages in Canada, along with the DLC, Mortgage Alliances, and everything as such. So at TD Scotia, we deal with a lot of credit unions, local credit unions depending on the provinces. We deal with a lot of monoline lenders as well. A lot of people feel that monoline lenders are not an A lender, but they are an A lender because their job is to strictly deal with mortgages and not with other banking products. Then there are alternate lenders and private lenders. So over 150 lenders is what Mortgage Architects deals with.
Gotcha. So being able to deal with all those smaller lenders, you actually give people a lot more options.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Absolutely. So how did you get into the business in the first place?
So I've been in the service industry for about 12 years, usually retail, restaurant, and everything as such. I wanted to enter the real estate industry, and I just like doing numbers. And basically making sure that the right product is fitting the right client rather than just giving what my bank is offering. So that is one of the reasons why I chose a brokerage to join.
Yeah, absolutely. So really just making sure you can take care of people and help them in their unique situations.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear that. I think you have all the recent interest rate hikes. Obviously, that's what everyone is talking about, right? What does this mean for the average Canadian, and how is working with a mortgage broker so beneficial?
So this is actually a 2-part question, what I feel like. With recent interest hike, it's a very big thing, and a lot of Canadians don't understand it, that during COVID, interest rates were at rock bottom. So everyone bought houses, and that pushed the housing market a little high. What Bank of Canada is trying to do is getting the interest rate higher so that less people can qualify it. So in the long run, housing doesn't become unaffordable for Canadians.
Yeah, so it's causing us some short-term pain so that benefits the long run, right? And that's what I think what a lot of people miss, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So people complain about interest hikes and everything, but yes, it is hard for a lot of Canadians, but it will be 1 or 2 years. It will get easier. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
To them. And in terms of why work with a broker, a lot Canada is more of an immigrant country. A lot of people come from different parts of the world to Canada, and in my home country, I know that when we want to get a mortgage, we go to the bank we deal with.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality what people have came to with in Canada. They don't realize that a broker doesn't charge them fee. It's not something that the service what they're providing comes with a fee. We get paid through the lender, we don't get paid through the client. And since bank representative has to think of the best interest of the institution they work with, we as an independent broker has to think of the best interest of a client we are working with.
Yeah.
So in overall scenario, it is always better to work with a broker compared to a bank.
Because you're advocating for the client then, as opposed to advocating for the bank.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing that most people don't realize.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're applying for a mortgage?
Buying a car. It's a huge monthly payment. That is actually a very common thing, because even like a $400 monthly payment on your car reduces your affordability by $125,000 overall.
For $400 a month.
For $400.
That's huge. That's a huge difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't understand that. Get a car after you get a house, or buy a car in cash. But that is the first mistake which they make. Second mistake is opting for the lowest rate possible. Sometimes it is not the right choice, because the lowest rate possible comes with the terms and condition attached to it.
What do you mean by terms and conditions?
So terms and condition meaning that if your plan is to move or upgrade in 3 years and need to break that mortgage, it will come with a huge penalty.
Right.
If you go with a credit union, for example, and you're planning to move provinces where the credit union, of course, won't work, then you won't be able to port that mortgage to a different province. So finding the right lender with the right term is what you should be looking for compared to what brings it the lowest rate.
So just because you get the lowest rate, there's likely going to be some hidden, like the small print that you don't read, that's where it can screw you over in the long run, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I didn't really know much about that until more recently, right? What can somebody do to improve their chances of getting pre-approved?
Honestly, before going to shop for a house, get pre-approved. And the reason to get pre-approved is even if the rate hikes in the future, you are secured for 120 days. It doesn't seem like a lot, 120 days, 4 months, but a lot, as you have already seen, a lot can change in 120 days. So even if you get pre-approved now, your rate is valid for 120 days. So even if the rate increases, if your qualification changes, you are guaranteed that rate, and you will feel more confident shopping out there when you know what you're approved for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that 120 days actually lets you look around, find a place, and put in an offer, knowing what your rate is going to be.
Exactly, and a lot of sellers will also consider you seriously, because you see right now there's a lot of bidding, there's a lot of multiple offers on the property. You will have an edge when you already have a pre-approval.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of sellers won't even consider your offer if you're not pre-approved, right?
Exactly.
If you have this huge financing window, it's like, no, we're not going to even entertain that, because they don't know what your situation's going to be, right? Absolutely. What's the craziest story you've had from a client?
I have one recently, actually. It was a family from Turkey.
Okay.
They were moving here from Winnipeg, and only the daughter kind of speaks English, and the mom and dad doesn't, and the daughter had to go back to Turkey to finalize some stuff down there. Mm-hmm. We're on the middle of closing the house. The closing is on Thursday, actually, tomorrow, and unfortunately we had just had a Turkey earthquake down there, like a 5.5. So, and the client's grandmother's sick now, so she has to fly back. So she had to call the lawyer, the realtor, and everyone to push just one day earlier. And unfortunately, the lawyer was not picking up the phone. The lender was not picking up the phone. All she did, and that was after hours, so of course we can't blame them.
Yeah.
But she had to call the mortgage broker, and even though I know I can't do anything in it because it's after hours, all I had to do is just listen to her.
Yeah.
And just tell her that everything will be okay. You will be in Turkey by this time. You will be in your house by this time. So don't worry about it. All we had to do is just listen. And it's not part of our job description, but we do that just for the clients, because we see them as a human being as well, not just a transaction.
Yeah. Well, we're dealing with people's lives, right? It's some of the biggest financial transaction most people will do in their life, and so we inherit all of the stress from it automatically, right? So yeah, like you said, not the job description, but it's there.
Yeah, and we feel responsible for it, even though it's not something that we can control.
Yeah.
But somewhere or the other, we do feel responsible for it,
mm-hmm.
to make their life better at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's such a human thing, and when someone's dealing with something like that, you can't help but feel empathetic, right? And wanting to help them as much as you can. So
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anything you would want to say to someone right now who's thinking about buying a house and is trying to get pre-approved now?
There are lots of opinions out there, So all I want to say is buy a house when you think you are ready. Don't overstretch yourself. There is no right or wrong answer here. Make sure your payments are in the budget you're looking for. Things will get worse before it gets better.
Thank you so much for doing the interview today.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
Jaitun. Thank you so much for watching.